our 11th Halloween display, 11th year. They won't let us stop. We even did it last year during COVID. It was a trick, we weren't going to do it. And we were asked by a number of our neighbors and people that ran into us in the local stores, pretty much begged us to do it. They wanted some normality in their lives. So we figured out how to do it last year, and it worked really well. Everyone behaved. We shot candy bars down a drainage pipe onto a table from our porch, and it worked out really well. Typically, we always opened our house up inside. We decorate the inside. We didn't last year. We were gonna this year, but decided we'd give it another year. So no one's coming in this year, but we did this. We've got our haunted house and a little mix of different creatures that my infamous better half, Chris, who you've heard about but you have never seen, other than I think a couple of years ago there's a clip of her coming out of the mausoleum into the graveyard. I believe that made the clip. So we decided just to do a haunted house, and I put up the facade. Anything that's wood, I build it, and Chris makes most of the props. She made Sam. She makes the corpses. She makes the well. She makes all this stuff, and we have quite a fan base, actually. It's fun for us because everybody, I mean, it's fun for us to see other people enjoying it and having fun with it as well. We weren't going to do it, absolutely, because it draws a crowd, and that's taboo, especially last year. And again, people begged us to do it, and we actually put it together. We had a fishing boat and a lighthouse. It was a nautical scene, haunted nautical scene. And then we had it roped off, and we put a sign out asking people to please behave, essentially. Everyone wore a mask. People would walk up to a little table we had out here in the wheelhouse of our fishing boat, and we just shot candy bars down a drainage pipe onto the table. They'd step up, say, how many kids do you have? And they'd tell us, and we gave the adults candy bars. It was a hit. In fact, they wanted us to do the drainage pipe thing this year, and I was like, well, we don't need to this year. We can't come in the house like we have in the years past, but we're going to actually have people, greet them at the door. We had it corralled and put the sign up saying, please follow the CDC guidelines, and everyone was great. And we had 350 people show up. And a lot of them said this is the only place they'd hit. They made a special trip here. And a lot of them still only make a special trip here, which, how can you stop doing this when you hear that year after year? So last year worked out well. This year, no different. I mean, as far as our fan base has grown, people still stop us and ask what our theme is going to be, or if we're going to do it, or how long it takes, and where do we store this stuff, which we store we store our props. I throw the facade away because it's just plywood that barely survives the month. But we keep our props and try to figure out different ways to use them from year to year. Every year is different. I'll be doing it as long as I can climb a ladder with a 4x8 sheet of plywood in one hand and a screw gun in the other, which I can still do it. Neighbors, they'd walk by, they'd stop us in the store. I mean, people recognize us now. They'd stop us in the store. So we know a lot of people. So just a general conversation, it was like, oh, you're going to do it, aren't you? And we weren't. Absolutely. I mean, it draws a crowd. And but I think we figured it out. It's a lot of work. This year it was a lot of money because the price of wood went through the roof. Plywood went through the roof. But you can't say no. And we did it. Obviously, as we know, pretty much everything shut down. And yeah, we were bummed and probably scared like everyone else, what's going to happen. But I think when we made the decision to do it, it took our mind off from it. We had a great time. I built an 18-foot boat, a full-blown boat, which was fun. And that gets your mind off from it when you're building boats. or building a wall to hang on the front of your house. It was good therapy. So, and it's still good therapy. I mean, things are crazy, for the most part. Things are crazy, at least in my opinion. And you got to keep busy. If you just sit, do nothing, you're gonna go crazy. Chris and I are both, we've been told, creative, or we believe we have that ability to do some crazy things, and this is our outlet. And you can get away with almost anything at Halloween. Other holidays you can't play with too much. Halloween, pretty much do what you want. They don't haul you out of here in a straitjacket. So if I did this in April or May, they'd probably haul us out of here, you know? But now, everyone laughs and thinks it's great. The first year when they discovered us, when we first did it, they were blown away. And it was very dumbed down compared to what this is now. And I said, I like to challenge myself. I'm not competing with anybody. I don't expect anybody else to do this. They would be crazy if they did. But I like to challenge myself. So everyone was in awe over what I considered what little we did. And I was blown away at the response and the reaction and the comments. It's like, wow, if they like that, wait until next year. And that's when I put up the facade, which some people don't get it. A lot of times people say, well, you do the same thing every year? People that have never seen this before. No, it's different every year. I'm totally different every year. We've done pirates, I think, 3 different years out of our 11, but they were all different scenes that had pirates. Last year was totally different. Some people said it was their favorite, and some people said, we love them all, but that wasn't our favorite, you know? So some people love the pirates. Pirates are my least favorite. It's Chris's favorite. So the boat last year to me, and we had a castle one year with a dragon, and I believe you people actually came in and interviewed us for that, and that was probably one of my favorites. I had a drawbridge and 2 towers and a dragon, and it was cool. That was one of my favorites. So if you go back and look at some of these, I mean, when I go back and look at some of them, I did Ghostbusters one year, and it was a huge hit, and I love Ghostbusters, but it wasn't one of my favorites. But it was cool. We had all the characters, mannequins and Slimer and the library and the firehouse, and it was neat. And we had the guys with the proton packs and don't cross the beams, and we had the beams, and you know, we had all the highlights of the movie. We had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, which was a 12-foot piece of styrofoam that Chris carved. I painted the face, and it looked like the Marshmallow Man, and we couldn't bring ourselves to throw it away after Halloween. Well, Christmas is coming up, and Chris and I are like, what are we gonna do with this thing? And she said, can we turn it into Frosty? I said, I just gotta repaint his face and put a Frosty hat on him, and he was Frosty. He was great. I loved him as both characters. So then I take him out to the transfer station after Christmas, throw him away. Those guys wanted him. They had him out there on display. So I'll bring some of these characters that we don't keep out there, and they'll hang them on the fence, or they'll, you know, and I'm out there right before I do this display. I need dead trees for some of these displays. So all these guys are out there unloading their pickups, hauling the brush out of the pickups and throwing them in the pile, and I'm out there with my pickup, hauling the brush into the pickup and driving away with it, and I get some weird looks. I've had a couple of guys say, hey, what's up? Sometimes it's last minute. We just don't know. This was kind of last minute. Chris knew she wanted to make this guy. She thought she stumbled onto something unique with this character known as Sam. We didn't even know he had a name. She said, well, that's creepy. It's a kid with a big head and burlap bag over his head. It's creepy. And it is creepy. So we thought we had something unique and special. Until we walked into Spirit Halloween, and everything in there is from a movie called Trick or Treat, and this guy's the feature. So we were a little bummed that we didn't come up with this wonderful idea on our own, but I never had heard of the movie, never had even heard of this guy, found out his name is Sam. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I will.
It's Sam.
This guy goes in and the clown goes in. I don't know how weather worthy they are. The rest of the stuff survives everything very well. A lot of it's foam and wires and wood. This is, you know, Chris made, I mean, he's got a wooden, I made the wooden body, and then she made the clothes, dressed them, made the head, sewed buttons on for eyes, and she loves that stuff, and I love woodworking. The cauldron, it was just a black, very expensive black plastic cauldron. I stuck it out here on its tripod and put a red light under it for a fire. I did not like it. So Chris comes out, grabs it, coats it with oatmeal, sprays it out, makes it look old, gets 100 mini lights in a box, doesn't unravel them, sprays foam, that great stuff's foam over them, sprays it with some red and black spray paint, and it looks like burning embers. It looks like coals. And then she put the misters in the cauldron, so you get the constant fog or whatever coming out of the cauldron. Now it's one of my favorites. But I was very disappointed when I just stuck it out here as just a black cauldron stuck on a... So those are the things we like to do. It's like, I don't like that. How can we make it better? Sounds silly, but it keeps our minds busy. The boat that we had last year, we knew a year in advance. Actually, we got the idea from Spirit Halloween. We walked in, they had a great big cardboard boat, and they had a sign up saying that we're going to raffle this thing off and give it to somebody when we close our store. Well, it's cardboard. Because I said, oh, I'd love to have that. But it's cardboard. It won't weather. So I just made one out of plywood. So we knew then what we wanted to do. And we've always wanted a lighthouse. We still have the lighthouse. It's out here all year long, except for this month. When Halloween's over, I'll be putting it back out. The lighthouse is almost a permanent fixture now. We decorate it for the different holidays. This year, and I'm not going to say what it is because it's a secret, we already know what we're doing next year. It just popped into Chris's head, and it's like, perfect. We've never done anything even close to that, and I think it's going to be a blast making it. Not going to tell you what it is, but I'd like to start it tomorrow, but it wouldn't go well with this. We'll get our ideas. We're getting ideas now, but I won't start building it until September. I start the 1st of September. It takes the whole month, literally the whole month. We build everything out back. Chris builds her characters out back. We do everything out back so we can just haul it all out here and stage it, you know, assemble it. But I won't start doing it until next September, but I'll walk into it knowing exactly what I'm going to be doing. I have been told that I'm doing this for the community. It didn't start out to be that. Nothing against the community, but I did it just to have fun and to play a little bit. And then so many people are like, you know, thank you for doing this for the community. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah, okay. And so I didn't get no profit out of this. So I go into Home Depot, I know the guys there, they cut me a little slack. I'll put a little plug in for Home Depot. They're great. I do home improvements, I get all my stuff there. So when he knows, the manager there knows that I don't make money with this. So he helped me. I didn't think it would ever be this big. We have people every year telling us we can never stop doing this. And I said, well, if you ever go by one Halloween and it's not there, you'll know something probably didn't go well with me. So, and they laugh, and I laugh, but that's true. I could still climb the ladder and hang plywood. I'll probably need help someday. But someday I don't want to stop doing this. It's not going to last forever. This is 11 years. But it's been fun. The first year we put stuff on the porch behind the glass. Well, it was hard to see, difficult to see. So I said, well, I got to do something that I can play with, cut windows and put shutters and paint bricks. You know, I've had several people think that this is the front of our house and I just paint it different every year. They're like, I can't believe you do this to your house. And it's like, well, it's not. It's just a wall that I put on the front of the house. It's a facade. Oh my God, I thought you just painted bricks on the front of your house or painted clapboards. It's like, no, the house is too nice to mess with. And that's fun, because people don't know. You know, and most people don't do this. I don't know of anybody that does. We did Stephen King's house one year. I actually made his fence and his gate. I actually took pictures of his gates in Bangor. They have bats.
Yeah.
Of course, I duplicate everything on wood. I had the bats and I had the fence. Not many people knew what it was. They thought it was cool. There are a lot of Stephen King fans, but they don't know what his house looks like. They don't know what his fence looks like. But he has the coolest gates in the state of Maine, probably in the country. Big black wrought iron bats and creepy gates. And I had all that. We did that one year. People loved it. And when I said it was Stephen King's house, we were hoping Stephen King would drive by. My wife's a huge fan, has all of his books. Little plug for Stephen, not that he needs it. But it was fun. It was fun making his house. But we won't do it again because we want it different every year. I have 2x4 studs that are 4 feet on center. Don't ever build a house that way. I've got metal hooks that I bent that are at the top of the 2x4 and the hooks hang over the gutter. Now the gutter is a permanent part of the fascia of the house. So the gutter won't rip off. There's no weight on it. It keeps it from falling forward. The weight's coming straight down and the studs I plumb them so they're nice and plumb. So my sheets land on them the way they're supposed to. And I put wooden stakes in the ground and I screw the bottom of the stud to that stake after it's plumb. So the weight is just coming down onto that and the hooks and the gutter just keep the whole thing from falling forward. And then taking it down is as much work as it is putting it up. Can't do it in the wind. Can't just let it fall over. But that's what it is. And the plywood, it's interior plywood, and it's all real cheap junk paint, interior paint. None of it holds up for the month of October. And that's about it. People say, you should save it. And it's like, well, what if I could? But it's junk when I take it down. And I won't save this little entryway. I'll probably take it apart and I'll use the wood on another project. Or maybe I'll use it next year's, I'll build something with it next year. It won't be this. The fence, I've had the fence for years. I mean years. And I've had to repair it, make new sections. A lot of people say I should leave it up because it looks really cool. It's just wood. People think it's real wrought iron. It's just wood painted black. And I can store that. It folds up. It just collapses. So it's easy to store. All the corpses we throw in the eaves. If anybody ever happens to go into the eaves unexpectedly, they'll be creeped out because looks like a bunch of dead bodies and they're all piled on top of each other. The FBI will be here doing an investigation. But yeah, and the clown we keep. The clown's a big hit. Usually been inside, always been inside. But because we're not letting people in, we put it out, and I think that's the most popular thing out here. That and the bunny in the window upstairs. There's a bunny in the window, and everybody looks for the bunny in the window. $3.99 at Walmart. It did it on a whim, threw it up there, said no one's ever going to see it. And every year for, I think, the past 4 years now, even with the nautical thing, I had the bunny in the window, and people loved it. They just love it. All the time and money I spend on this, which people do love, and they are taken with that stupid bunny in the window. I have a friend, she explained to me one time how creepy bunnies really were, like the Easter bunny and different bunnies. And if you Google creepy bunnies, the Easter bunny's creepy. It's creepy. There's a lot of creepy bunnies on there, and those kids are sitting on the Easter bunny's lap, and it's like, I'd be screaming and crying too if I was sitting on that lap. So that bunny face is an evil bunny face. I never forgot about that. It's like, yeah, bunnies are creepy. So a lot of people are petrified of clowns. I think clowns are cool. A lot of people don't think clowns are cool. So, yeah, everyone's different. You get people coming in here, they love this guy. Oh no, I like the clowns. The next person comes in, I love this guy here with a pipe. Everyone likes something different. That's why we've put a little bit of everything out. The guy with the flashing eyes basically is a step stool. It's supposed to look like a hunchback, which it does. It's a step stool underneath a bunch of black material and netting, and Chris took the skull face and mounted it to a wood board and cut some eyes out of a different character we had and put them in that character. Got the skeleton hands and the cane we had. I don't know why we had a cane, but neither one of us need a cane yet. We will. Hard to climb a ladder with a cane, but anyway, she created that. So that's nothing but a step stool, which I think is great. But after Halloween, it goes back into a step stool, and we just put the hands and the cane and the face back into our little storage tote. The grave digger is just one of our corpses. We have like a dozen of these corpses that she made, and she dresses them all different every year. Last year they were New Gloucester fishermen. They've been pirates. That's a drunken grave digger. He's a groom to the bride that's up there. Now the bride, everything in the windows, there's 4 windows, they were props for indoors. But since we're not doing indoors this year, I said, I'm going to cut windows in this wall and we're just going to hang them. They're pretty protected from the weather there. We did not make those. We don't make everything, but we try. But Chris makes the clothes. She made the pants for the grave digger. This guy here, this is totally made by her. The girl, the ring girl, is a mannequin, a little girl mannequin. She has a face, but in the movie, her face doesn't really show up very well. The well is chicken wire that she formed into like an oval, and used the Great Stuff spray foam in the can and sprayed it. And then she took some skulls that we have, little thin plastic skulls, and sliced the back of the head off and stuck them in the foam when it was wet, and then just spray. They're subtle, you have to look for them. Spray painted it. That's the well, and there's a water effects light that's in the well that gives you that effect, like it's coming from the depths of the earth or hell or whatever. That's kind of what it's supposed to represent. The pumpkin man is a great big wood, I made it out of strapping, frame, and we had him a few years ago over here, and he was a huge hit, and so we threw him away because you can't store something that big, but I also threw the head away, and it's a styrofoam pumpkin head that you can get almost anywhere, and Chris, you know, made it look old, carved the face in it, put the eyes in it, dressed it, and it's once again a hit. People love it, but once again, when Halloween's over, it'll go. I'll keep the head, just in case. We can use it for something else. The clown will keep. The clown right now is, I think, the most popular thing out here, because it looks like there's someone in it, because there's a mannequin head inside the mask, and Chris took clear fingernail polish and did his eye, the mannequin's eyes with the clear, so it looks like glossy, wet human eyes. It looks like someone's in there. In fact, people will stand there and go and do this and make faces and stuff to see if they can get it to move. It's kind of a riot, actually. I think I told you about the cauldron. It's just a boring black cauldron hanging on a tripod, and she took oatmeal and some Mod Podge or something like that, mixed it together and painted it on this so it looks like rusty, rough iron, and painted it. Took the lights. You buy a box of 100 orange mini lights, took them out of the box and just kind of left them in a big pile and sprayed it with that Great Stuff spray foam. Painted it black and red, I think, and it looks very real. It looks like embers or coals, hot coals, whatever. We got a dog over there that we bought, and she stained it with the same stain she stains the corpses with, and it barks with sound. It's sound activated, but it barks and its eyes light up. So I mean, we didn't make that, but we modified it. We modify everything. We might buy a couple of things, but we don't leave it that way. The gravestones I've had forever. Every so many years I paint over and put different sayings on them. Where I'm into music, I have a lot of one-liners from a lot of different songs. A dude looks like a lady. You could check out anytime you want, but you never leave. Uh, just rolling in the deep. Not a huge Adele fan, but everyone knows what that is. I mean, I like Adele, don't get me wrong. She has more money than I do. But anyway, so I like the whole music theme thing. And then people will just come by and say, you ought to have a gravestone that says this. It's like, oh, I like that. We have a lot of gravestones I didn't even put out. I mean, because a couple of years we've done the whole yard as a graveyard. We had a mausoleum one year. I'm blown away with what she can do. She's pretty tickled that I can build a wall in the front of the house. And she's can you do this? Yeah, I can do it. If it's made out of wood, I can do it. And then she comes out and takes my very ugly, very expensive cauldron and turns it into something that's awesome, and that blows me away. So yeah, we work well together, and we have all kinds of crazy ideas. We don't do blood and gore and guts because we get not opposed to it, except we get such high exposure here. I don't want to offend anyone. So I don't like dressing up. This is how I'm going to greet people Halloween night. We don't have people jumping out at the kids. I don't want to traumatize anyone. I don't want kids to go home and have nightmares. There's a fine line. It's hard to find that fine line. But I'm not here to terrorize anybody. I'm here to have the kids and adults laugh and say, this is great. I don't want people jumping or going home and having nightmares or saying, maybe we shouldn't bring our kids in. I want them to bring their kids in and get a candy bar. I'm not opposed to anyone who does blood, guts, and gore, or however they decorate. I think it's great. I say if somebody puts a pumpkin on their steps, I'm excited. It's like, hey, this is great. They're into it. And I just know what I want and what I like. I like spooky and scary. Last year, it was a fishing boat. I don't know how spooky and scary a fishing boat is, but we had all the corpses on there and spiders and stuff like that. And I had people say it was their favorite, and I had people say, well, it wasn't my favorite, but it was awesome. I've had people say that I've been here all 11 years. It's like, wow. And I've had people come say, when they see me put the studs up, this doesn't go up overnight. They see the studs hanging from the gutter, and they're new neighbors. We get a lot of new neighbors. They come by and it's like, we was wondering what you were doing. What could that be, you know? Yeah, I'm sure it has a lot of people that don't know guessing, which is fun. Or I'll be out here and they're like, excuse me, what? I have to ask, what are you doing? I'm making a haunted house. And I tell people, they say, why do you do this? I say, well, I don't do it because I'm bored. I'm certainly not bored. I enjoy them enjoying it. So my enjoyment is everybody else enjoying it. And I do like, I love doing the actual act of doing this. If we hear something that we're concerned about, a lot of laughing or chuckling especially, well, anybody, it doesn't have to be kids, but we just want to make sure kids aren't, I don't want kids running in here and running around and stuff and tripping over wires and playing with our fog machines. And we had somebody come the other day, take the chain down and come in and wander around. And I didn't say anything, but we wanted to make sure they weren't here that they wouldn't get hurt. And they didn't. They were very cool about walking around. And I'm not going to be a jerk about it. They didn't know any better. But I mean, there's extension cords everywhere. The fog machines are hot. I used to have real fire, torches. Got away with that. Probably shouldn't have done it, but I always put them in a safe place, made sure people couldn't get to them. Had the tiki torches. Now we have those solar torches that are out front. They're great. They look like real flames and no one's going to get hurt. So, through the years we've tweaked it enough where we pretty much have it down now. I think of some of the things that I used to do, and it's probably, I probably shouldn't have done that. I had a drawbridge for the castle. You had to walk up a drawbridge. It was a ramp to get into the house. I mean, no railings, a couple of chains that came down to make it look like it pull up in. It was pretty cool. And I had to put wood strips across it so you get some traction. And when it was wet, I think I actually put rubber mats out and nailed them down so you wouldn't slip. And I think of that, it's like, well, the liability, putting a drawbridge ramp in front of your house might be pushing the envelope. I don't know. And I've had many people come in Halloween and say, oh my, I have to tell my neighbor, they've never seen this. How long do you leave it up? And I'll say, I'll leave it up for a couple more nights. And the neighbor will come see it. They didn't want the neighbor to miss it or whatever. And, but then I bring my truck and trailer out here and take it down and load it up, haul it back to the garage and sort it out, what I'm throwing away, what I'm keeping. This goes in this tote, this goes in the eaves. And it's a production, just taking it down and putting it away. And then I turn right around and start doing Christmas, which is nothing like this. It's quick, it's balloons, which I swore I'd never do. I'm not anti-balloon, but I would love to have the time to create all this stuff for Christmas. You can't play with Christmas much. It's Santa, reindeer. I played with it one year, and I don't think it was received very well. We incorporated our corpses, had them dressed up like Santa, roasting marshmallows with kids. I've had every theater in South Portland and Portland wanting me to do their sets. But I've been building stuff for years. I was building furniture when I was 13. I love woodworking, still do. And I have turned all those theaters down because I just don't have time. Or maybe the energy, or both. Maybe when I fully retire, if I ever do, it might be a kicker to go do a set for them. Because I've gone to their shows. I love their, and of course I'm all into their sets. And I don't critique them. I look at them, I'm in awe. It's like, I would love to do this, you know? And maybe someday I will. But I've had all the theaters come by and say, you must have some background in theater doing sets. It's like, I don't. Things like the sign, I do a lot with torches. I burnt all this wood with a propane map torch. The numbers I burn with a cigarette lighter, a little torch cigarette lighter. So it's a real fine flame, and I can write with it and burn the numbers in and burn the dead zone that's on the front of the, you know, stuff like that I can do with a cigarette lighter. And then all the wood, I want it to look not so much burnt, but old and rustic. And it looks burnt. You know, it's hard to find that. I could spend another 3 months making this look super real, but you got to draw a line somewhere. It's good enough. So I spent a lot of time out back, the wood all laying out on my sawhorses with a torch. It's quick. It's a map torch. It's a pretty hot flame. You just touch it here and there, or whatever. You can leave it on a corner or whatever a long time so it actually burns. And you get some pretty neat effects out of it. There are a lot of tricks. The oatmeal on the pot, that got me. I said, how are you going to do that? I'm going to use some oatmeal. Why not? Everyone uses oatmeal on cauldrons to make them look old. It works because it looks like an old pitted cast iron cauldron. And everyone likes a little high five or pat on the back. I like what you do, you know. Who doesn't? I don't think there's enough of that going around. I try to make it a point if I'm happy with somebody in a store or the services they've given me or whatever meal they might have served me at a restaurant. They say, I appreciate your business. I appreciate you feeding us some awesome food. It's a two-way street, you know, and you got a smile on your face. With all the crap that you've had to put up with lack of help and COVID and trying to survive, and you're still smiling and serving wonderful food, they need to be commended, not me. It's fun to hear people say, I love what you do. Thumbs up, they'll blow their horn when they go by. This is great. Thanks.